Hi everyone, this is Lowell and starting a new series here. I've had a number of people ask me recently about understanding what's called the number system in terms of training bands to play by ear. And it's actually pretty simple. It's some people call it the Nashville number system, and I'm not an expert on uh, using this system all the time. I like writing out my own material and using sheet music. That's kind of what I prefer. I think it's more exacting. But if you are in a band and you have people that want to learn how to play by ear and just kind of go by improvisation, then the Nashville number system or the number system is a good way to go, and it's simple. The This is a video series that's intended to make this subject basically demystify the subject for you. And the first step of understanding is to understand intervals and to understand what intervals are. And so I have the keyboard here pulled up, and there's two different kinds of intervals. And one kind of interval is called diatonic scale, or intervals based upon the diatonic scale. And then there's another kind of interval which is based upon the chromatic scale. And so before I get into what a diatonic scale and a chromatic scale is, I just wanted to talk about what an interval is. And the first thing you need to know about intervals is that you have essentially two kinds of building blocks. One is major and one is minor. And we're talking about major and minor seconds. So here is a minor second is the smallest interval, and where you're talking about intervals, you're talking about the space between notes. That's the definition of an interval, is the space between notes. And so you have I'm just starting on the note C, middle C. Here's middle C right here, and then the smallest interval up is a minor second, or also called a half step. So these two notes here, that's the smallest interval that you can have. And then the next interval is the major second. And so a major second is also called a whole step. And a major second is comprised of two half steps. And so we're counting the space between the notes. And so there's a half step between this and this, between C and C sharp, and there's a half step between C sharp and D. Right? So just to recap what I just said, the smallest interval or space between the two notes that you can have is a half step or a minor second, which is this. And then the next larger interval that you can have is a whole step or a major second, which is this. All right. And then what you have, I don't know if you can see these notes that I'm playing. Let me scoot this down just a little bit more. So, oops, wrong direction. There's your C, C to C sharp, then C to D, half step, whole step. All right, and so those are foundational. Now we have another set of intervals. We're going to have a major and minor third. All right, so here's a minor third, and a minor third is consisting of three half steps. 1, 2, 3. I'm counting the crack between the notes. How many cracks between this note and this note? How many cracks in the piano are there? So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's a minor third. And then you have a major third, which is 4 half steps. All right, so far we've talked about minor second, minor third, major third. All right, and so then there's another kind of interval which is called the perfect intervals, and they're called perfect because they relate to the overtone series at the very most basic level. And so you have perfect fourths and perfect fifths and perfect octaves. Okay, so a perfect fourth is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 half steps. And then a perfect fifth is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 half steps. right? And in between those, you have a thing called a diminished fifth or an augmented fourth. So this is the interval right in between those two, right? And then again, recapping, we have minor second, minor third, major third, perfect fourth, augmented fourth or diminished fifth, and then perfect fifth. And then we have a minor sixth, and a major sixth, a minor seventh, and a major seventh, and a perfect octave. And right there, I just enumerated 12 different interval relationships. And so now that you know what those are, you can understand what I was going to tell you a minute ago about the two different kinds of scales that we have. And one is called a diatonic scale, and the word dia or means day. And so how many days in the week do you have? You have 7 days in the week. And so a diatonic scale, what we understand is a major scale or a minor scale, but basically a diatonic scale is the days of the week. So we have 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we're back to 1 again, or 8. So 1 is the same thing as 8, the octave. So that's a diatonic scale. But then, as opposed to a diatonic scale, you have a chromatic scale. So chromo means color, and so the chromatic scale uses essentially the black keys, all the possible notes in the scale. And so this is the chromatic scale. Okay, and so that's the first concept that I wanted to share with you in terms of understanding the beginnings of understanding how to learn the number system. It is for you to understand and learn your intervals. And just to recap one more time, we have the smallest interval is your minor second, then you have a major second, minor third, major third, perfect fourth, augmented fourth or diminished fifth, perfect fifth, minor sixth, major sixth, minor seventh, major seventh, perfect octave. All right, so in the next video, we're going to talk about how you can basically build a triad using the diatonic scale. And the Nashville number system, or the number system, is based upon the diatonic scale, not the chromatic scale, but the diatonic scale. So the 7-note scale, or what we understand usually as the major scale, is just using the 7-note scale. And so that's the beginning of understanding how to train a band, how to use the Nashville number system. Thanks.